get started?
Yeah.
You've all come here under the expectation that we're going to sing and dance for you, right?
That's why we're here.
Practicing. What? No? What did they tell you were coming to see? Animals, of course. We have brought some real live animals for you guys to meet. Yes, we have brought something that is scary. Do you guys want to meet something that's scary?
Yeah.
How about something that's kind of stinky?
Yeah.
What if I told you that we've got a scary, stinky animal for you guys to meet first? Do you want to see it?
Yeah.
You already can because she's sitting right here. The scariest, stinkiest of them all. This is Maddie. My name is Crystal, and we are here from Speaking of Wildlife. All kidding aside, though, we have brought some real live wild animals for you guys to meet. Some of them maybe you think are scary. Some of them maybe you thought were stinky. Maybe you have different ideas about them. What we can tell you for sure is that each animal you're going to meet today is an animal that you can find here in the province of Ontario. Iridescent, it's a pretty big word, but it means that his feathers shine different colors depending on the way that the sun or the light hits them. So as he's walking around, if you guys sort of note some of those colors, we have heard purple and pink and blue and green. If we get really fancy, maybe you're seeing magenta and teal and aqua. So there's a few different colors in there. That helps him out to sort of absorb some sunlight and get maybe a little bit warmer on those chillier days. He can warm up with the sun. Also helps him maybe to find a girlfriend. Now Flint is pretty interested in finding a girlfriend most of the time, but he isn't always interested in the right animals. Flint came to us because somebody found him probably as a baby and brought him home. Our best guess is that they meant well. They thought if they raised this little pigeon until he looked like a pigeon, they could just let him go into the wild and he would know how to survive. Instead, what they made was what we call a human imprinted pigeon. So when they let him go, or maybe he escaped, he ended up maybe down the road bugging a family or harassing a family, to the point where the first day they saw a pigeon, they were kind of like, oh, a pigeon, no big deal. Then on day 2, they were like, oh, that pigeon's still here. By day 4, they were like, we better call the authorities because this pigeon does not know how to live. He doesn't know what's going on. He was playing in the sandbox with the kids. He was flying in with the kids at dinner time. He kept trying to get into their house. It's no wonder they called the authorities because this guy was harassing them. They called a wildlife rescue team, and this team is amazing. We have heard stories of them, rescuing raccoons off the edges of buildings and catching coyotes that need care and big birds like swans and geese. And then they go out to this rescue call. And they can pretty much leave those big wildlife handling gloves in the van. They don't need a net or a blanket or any fancy equipment. They just needed to walk up to Flint and he was like, hey, how you doing? He's asking them out. He thinks he's just like us. He has no idea. He's even lived with other birds in wildlife rehabilitation and wildlife hospital and with us. And he, sure, will hang out with them when nobody's looking, but the moment there's a human around, he flies towards them and starts cooing. You hear him in there most of the time we're doing our show, it's because he's like, hey ladies, you're ignoring me. And then he comes out here and he's like, oh good, Maddie's got me. Happy as anything.
Oh my
So
gosh.
he is human imprinted, he thinks he's just like us. I used to make the joke that Flint thought that I was his girlfriend. I don't think he's super picky, so he's now also dating Maddie and some of the other volunteers and staff back at the center. But it's kind of funny because I used to make that joke, and then I actually read a study that suggested that pigeons are a lot smarter than we realize, and they're actually able to distinguish facial features. So they've done studies where 2 people in like a lab or a care setting would go in and feed the pigeons every day. The first person would go in and she would put the food down, she'd be very nice, she'd talk gently, and then she'd leave. The second person would go in and chase the pigeons, cause all kinds of chaos, all kinds of mess, and then throw the food down and leave. So one person was nice and one person was mean. Well, they started to realize that even when those people changed their behaviors, they both started being nice, the pigeons would fly away when the person that was originally mean came by. They even changed their clothes. So they looked as much like the opposite person as possible, and still, when that person that was mean originally came in, the pigeons flew to the other end of the enclosure. So they can tell people apart based on their facial features. That's how we know that Flint's not picky, because he can tell Maddie and I apart, and he still likes both of us. Doesn't make a difference. No. So he's a pretty silly guy for that reason, but he's found a good place with us. He does occasionally lure in the odd pigeon, because the kind of second coolest thing about these guys, or one of my favorite things about them, is their ability to find home no matter where they are. They have a homing sense. So in addition to using, sight and sound and taste and smell and all those things, they actually sense home based on the Earth's magnetic fields and where the sun is in the sky. They can always find their way. So people now have sort of used that sense of home. And they used to use them in the war to deliver messages. Messenger pigeons would be taken away from home, had a message attached to their leg, and then sent back with that message. We used them for aerial photos above home. So this is like the world's first text message and GoPro. Pretty cool. But we've also used it now in agriculture. Some people actually race pigeons. So they take them away from their kind of home and race to see who makes it home first. Well, sometimes those pigeons get a little lost. Sometimes they get a little hungry, they get a little tired. And if they just happen to hear this guy down below that's like, hey ladies, I've got food. It's a pretty good place to stay. They just stop by and get a little bit of a bed and breakfast, speaking of wildlife. So Flint has lured in more than one pigeon that was on its way to a race, or in the middle of a race. And luckily, those pigeons were pretty hungry and tired and needed a helping hand, so we gave them bed and breakfast. And in some cases, they joined a race the next day, and in other cases, we called their owners and they came to pick them up.
I assume they were banded for you to know?
Yeah, so they have a band around their ankle that usually has like the Canadian Racing Pigeon Union website on it and a number, so we can find their owners and then find out what's best. Sometimes their owners are super close and they just come pick them up because that's safest, and other times the bird just needs a bit of a rest and can join the race again tomorrow. It's kind of neat. So I think Flint's done an excellent job. Maybe we can give him a little round of applause. We had a staff that really liked Flint and called him the rock and roll dove instead of the rock dove because he's always headbanging.
Thanks for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Turn on the post notifications bell so you won't miss another video. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss our next video about Lou, a little wolf pup. Don't forget to live, love, and explore. Muskoka Girl out.